Welcome to the Mint Doors Talk It Out podcast. Today, we have a special guest who is truly a trailblazer in the dental industry. Meet Dr. David R. Rice, founder of the nation's largest new dentist and student community. Dr. Rice is a renowned speaker, writer, and connector dedicated to empowering today's top young dentists and linking them with tomorrow's most successful dental practices.
With an impressive 28 years of practice, Dr. Rice's expertise is unmatched. Trained at prestigious institutes like the Pankey Institute and the Dawson Academy, he is also the chief editor of Dentistry IQ and leads a team-centered restorative and implant practice in East Amherst, New York. Dr. Rice's journey is a testament to the power of determination and strategic planning in building a successful career. Join us as we explore the strategies behind creating a self-determined future in dentistry with the inspiring Dr. David Rice. Well, welcome to the Mint Door podcast, Dr. David Rice. Thank you so much for joining us today. I cannot wait to get into this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You know, you are a big advocate of a self-determined future. And that sounds really cool. So I would love it if you would maybe just explain what your definition of a self-determined future is, and if there was a moment in your career or your life where it kind of shaped your belief in what this is and why it's important.
Sure. So I think if we lined up 100, 1,000, 10,000 humans, not just dentists, everybody would have their own version of really what success is. So we at Ignite label it success as a self-determined future, meaning like you get to pick. It's your life. It's your choice. If you want adventure, choose it. If you want safety, if you're a family person, if you're friends, if you feel like you're on this planet just to like grow your practice beyond belief, and that is your like ultimate calling, then that's it. You're right. So whatever your vision for your future is right. And we encourage people, like, don't look at anyone else's life to determine what success is, because that's when you start chasing people, and that chase is, you know, as you both know, just makes you unhappy. You can get to all these places that aren't really fulfilling. So that's for us what a self-determined future is. And I think for me, if I'm being really raw honest, I lived maybe the first 32 years of my life for everyone else but me. And not that they were bad people. It was really, honestly, it was on me. It was my problem, really not their problem. And one day I woke up and I thought, I am the most unhappy human in the whole world, when the whole world looks at my life and thinks he's got the greatest life there is. So I knew I needed to make a radical shift and a radical change. And I knew there were going to be some hard conversations that needed to happen and shift gears in so many different ways. And I think that was my moment of waking up and thinking there has to be a better way.
You know, I think that what you talk about, and I'm sure you experience with this with the dentists that you work with, is like super common, that we get on a treadmill of success that we didn't build.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we built it for all the wrong reasons and all, not the wrong people, but, you know, for anyone but us.
What were, and I'd love to just, you know, dig into this just a little more. What were some of the signs, like for somebody that's listening to this thinking, you know, what he says is sort of true, but what were some of the signs for you that this was a direction that you were headed that you didn't want to be going?
Personally for me, I feel I couldn't quite put my finger on the unhappiness, but I was just unhappy. I was tired. I was doing all the fun things that I thought were fun and important with all the fun people I thought were fun and important. And despite that, I felt alone. I felt like I needed to keep chasing more things, if I just make more money, if I just go on this vacation, if I just, and you could line up all the stuff, I'll feel better. And then I would do those things. And, like you feel better for like 30 seconds or 5 minutes. And then after that, you're like, okay, so here I am, and nothing's really changed. So for me, it was just all these life experiences that should have been making me happy, and they just weren't.
So what was did you have a defining moment where it changed, where you made that decision to do something, flip it
I
around?
did. Yeah. And it's sort of, it unfortunately came at the cost of my then associate. So my associate, Mark, who time went on, we were partners in practice for 26 years, most amazing guy in the whole world. He was, picture this, first marriage, new house, new baby, like first new car, like all this cool stuff. And we all can remember that point in our life where it's like, oh, everything we're doing is so brand new. It's awesome. And it was 1 week to the day that his daughter was born, and his wife died, 27 years old. And Mark and I had lots of hours together, lots of moments together. Our team and I had lots of moments together. The coolest thing we ever did as a team is we paid Mark to stay home for 7 months to want to like come back and work and like live and be happily ever after, which he very thankfully has. He's like the most well-adjusted human on the planet who's gone through the most horrific thing. But one of our conversations we had, Mark looked at me, he's like, I'm tired of just doing things for everybody else. And now I'm a dad and I have this like couple-month-old daughter, and I just need to start doing it my way. And I was like, oh, he's so right. And I really took that time and all those lessons to heart. And I'm like, I'm just going to learn to say thank you so much, but no, thank you. I'm just going to learn to make different choices. And I'm going to learn to, let some people down in the short run to build the life that was, important to me. So then the people that I love that are around me we could be on the same journey together instead of like running in a parallel universe. Crazy, right? Crazy story.
I was not expecting that story, but from taking a life-changing moment for you, being there in that moment too, of experiencing something so sad and tragic, to then be able to take on somebody else's wisdom and apply it to you is amazing. And then to have a filter. And I heard something today, it was a question on a podcast that they asked somebody, what's the best advice that you could give someone? And the advice was, when somebody asks you to do something, ask yourselves, does this concern me, and do I need to be involved?
Great advice.
And it just, as you said that, it made me think of that too, of how do you put that into practice?
It's so easy for us, right? Because I think, especially in dentistry, we're people pleasers. It's not a bad quality. It's a beautiful quality, but I think we have to include ourselves in the people who get pleased in life. And, not that, I'm not going to tell people like, put yourself first, like do what you feel is right, whatever that is, but make sure you're including yourself in the happiness, or this, we're not promised tomorrow. And we have to enjoy whatever time we get here with the people we really want to spend it with.
Yeah, 100%. So you have a wealth of experience as a founder of one of the nation's largest new dentist and student communities, and seeing all of these young new dentists together, what do you find to be the key strategies that you see amongst the successful young dentists of today?
So some things haven't changed with time. They have a strong vision for the life that they want. If we get a hold of them early enough, I really highly encourage them to have that vision start at home. Bring your business life to, your home life has to come first. And then from there, they have controls in their life. So they have financial control, or they learn how to get it quickly, out of that $500,000 debt that most of them have, they learn that systems control is really important. And if they build processes for their life, that they can have better time management, and the overwhelm and the burnout thing that many people go through, they can dodge. And then they also have, clinical control. We're dentists, so they need to be good at what they do. And if they have those three controls and they consistently work on them, and they find the right mentors who can guide them in those lanes, people who are willing to not just share what went well, but share all the stuff that went wrong, then, that's kind of the secret sauce. And everything after that for me is a bonus, and you can dig deeper in each one of those categories because there are things that feed those controls. But I think high view, that's kind of the big picture for what I see.
Those are good. When you're working with new dentists and talking about these controls, how hungry are they for this? How receptive are they to this? Because it's stuff that's not taught in dental school, and it's stuff they probably haven't been introduced to, maybe even.
So, data would tell us, right, there's a top 20%, a bottom 20%, and a middle 60. I don't know that that's changed a whole lot over time. Maybe there's a top 10% and a bottom 10%, and then there's a middle 80, but there's a fair number of them who are very entrepreneurially spirited. They didn't get into dentistry maybe for the same reasons I did. So they're coming into this with some kind of background and some kind of desire. Those are the top 10%ers, and they sprint. It's incredible to me what some of the young dentists we've met accomplish in their first 5 years. It's insane. Love it. And then that middle 80, I feel like all of our jobs collectively is just help pull them up the best we can and drag them into that top percentage. And then the other folks, if we just let them know, like, hey, we're here. If and when you're ready, we're here. But, if you said top 10, 20% of them are far more impressive than I ever was at their age. Oh my God, they would run circles around me.
Isn't that fun?
Yes, I love it.
Because that's the whole, that's the cherry on the top, right? We want, just like we want to give our kids opportunities and we want their lives, we want to see our profession progress. So the younger ones, they gotta be better than we were at their age, right? That's progress.
It's funny, years ago, if you said like a core value of Ignite, our community is promoting all the young people. I remember I had a dentist who was, more my age today say, like, aren't you afraid people will like them better? I'm like, oh my God, that means I've done my job. I hope people like them better. I hope people request them to work with them and not me. That's like, I've had my turn. Now my job is just to help them have their turn. Like, I think we get so hung up on like me, and what if I become irrelevant tomorrow? And we hoard all these things instead of just realizing that our job is to promote the next generation of people.
Beautifully said.
That's so good. I think when you say that, it makes me think, if we look at the generation that came before us, that generation, or I remember professors at dental school, and their attitude was, I had it really hard, so you have to have it really hard. To where we've come now today with dentists saying, I only want to amplify you, make things better, help you succeed. That's a pretty good trajectory to be on.
I totally agree. I'll never forget. I used to teach part-time at Buffalo's Dental School. I taught there a day a week. I loved it. And there was a guy that I taught with, and he was like a good guy, but he just couldn't get out of his own way. So he, even though he was younger, still had that mindset. And I'm like, what is so wrong in your world that you come in and you're miserable and you make people jump through all these hoops? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Do you want everybody not to like you? Does it make you feel better? Does it like feed some hole in you that but I think that's part of it. We're all sort of products of our experience. So many of us maybe who still feel that way, we just didn't experience the right people above us, whether it was family, friends, business, the whole 9 yards. So it's cool that there's a collection today of people who really do want better. So the future will experience more people like both of you who want to help.
Well, and I think, I'd like to circle back a little bit, but you said something really important, that authentic conversation where we're sharing not just how cool everything is,
Yeah.
how we can help you with success, but we can also help you by sharing what went wrong with us.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is huge, because I think that in our profession, we put on this mask of stoicism where everything's great, got it all together.
Yeah.
Nothing goes wrong in my practice.
Never. Well, that's social media today, right? And I think that's the curse of it. The blessing is we build relationships, we meet awesome people, and that turns into something great. We can disseminate information faster. But the curse is people look at a 10-second snippet of life, and then it stacks. They have 1,000 friends or 5,000 friends or 50,000 people following them. And it's like all these things stack, and they think it just makes them feel worse about themselves. And it's not reality. So I love it. I love, one of the courses they teach, literally it's the top 10 things I would do differently, that I did horribly wrong. And you should not make those same mistakes as I do.
That's awesome. Well, I'm curious, as you're talking about this with your extensive background and training and expertise, what advice would you give someone that's starting out and looking to develop this strategic plan, this self-determined future? What would be step one if they're just like floundering?
Sure. For me, step one is we all kind of have a happy place. Mine's water. So wherever yours is, and I mean physical space, I think physical space is underrated. So get to your physical happy space when you've got 2 hours of time. Put your phone in airplane mode, and then just start thinking about who you are today, and in your perfect world, where do you want to go? And free think, and then write it. If you're a writer, write it down. If you love your cell phone, use your cell phone. If tablet, laptop, whatever it is, just make sure it's in airplane mode so you don't get interrupted. But I feel like 2 hours in the perfect location for you is enough time to settle, because I'm like wired. It takes me 20 minutes to get in I'm there, but I'm not there. And so it takes us time to get there. And then just get all that stuff out of your brain and into some kind of content form. And then come back a week later and see what still makes sense. And then start asking yourself, if this is all the stuff that I want, who do I know who can help me get closer to it? And then build mentors. And for me, there's like 3 main types you need to have, but I think that's the first step.
That's excellent advice.
Thanks.
And I love the piece of getting somewhere physical that is meaningful to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was hard for me. I lived in Buffalo, New York. So it was like cold and gray and gross and yucky, but we had a lake. So I drove to Lake Erie, and I still remember the day. And I sat on like one of these big giant boulders, and I got myself calm, and I just started like jotting down all this stuff. I'm like, wow, I'm more clear. My brain works better here. I'm not in a rush. I don't need to be anywhere. I'm not accountable to anyone but this moment. That was really, really helpful for me.
Mm-hmm. So David, you're on a rock by Lake Erie. Laura, where are you going to go for this exercise?
I'm going to a mountain.
Love it.
Yeah, going on
How about you?
Yeah, how about you, Karen?
I have equal love for probably the coast. I think it would be. Maybe this is coming from England and living on an island, but the ability to be near coastline, I really, really like. I am so far from the coast, that isn't going to happen. So basically anywhere with a far view where I can see the horizon, I think for me, that would be it.
I love that. I think that's why I love water. I think a lot of it is the freedom when you look out over it and it's just vast and you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah. Well, there's actually really good scientific research about having your eyes be able to see vast distances when you're wanting to be creative. So I think you're onto something that's actually backed by science. So pretty cool.
All right. Go science.
I know, right? Just get that high achiever dentist A+ mentality there, right? We'll give you a gold star for that one.
All right. I'll take it. And a smiley face.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right. Well, you have something that we wanted to highlight here, and I'm really curious about it because it sounds really fun. But it's a 90-day jumpstart for dentists. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I've always looked at coaching and consulting, and I've had a coach for the better part of my professional life. I'm a huge fan. I think we achieve so much more when we have that person or those people. And one of the things that I thought we could improve upon for the young dentists that we work with was to shrink the commitment. So we built a 90-day jumpstart. It's built sort of off the premise of, you know, how every CEO has to have a 100-day plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought, okay, 90 days is just neat and it's clean and it's easy, but it was built with that concept. And our job when we work with any dentist is to come in and we start exactly what we talked about today. Where do you want to go? And then we use your KPIs to say, well, where are you? You're here. And then our job in 90 days is to elevate you, calibrate your team, and then elevate you to a place that you didn't think you could go in 90 days. And that is from a happy factor, that is from a financial factor, that's from getting everybody on the same ship and wanting to go in the same direction. And then from there, what we know is, you know, the right people who want to do the work will stick around and we can show them crazy success. I mean, there's not, I can say this out loud because I believe it. There's not a practice in the United States that I can't double in under a year, not one. So 90 days gives us a really good jumpstart on getting to that point. And it also helps the people who say yes to that generate the revenue to pay for the rest of the stuff that gets them there. And I think that's kind of a flaw with a lot of the big time consultants, you know, 7,500 grand a year is, that's a big obstacle. That's a big mountain to climb more. So yeah. So that's what we do. We work on case acceptance. We work on operating procedures, and we work on, you know, getting your team together and happily all moving in the right direction. And that's about what we can do in 90 days.
Mm-hmm. Would that program also work for dentists who are associates as well as those who own their own practices?
I love you asked that. Yeah, we have one specifically designed for associates. Mm-hmm. And for them, what I know from most of them is they can't control anything outside of their treatment room, and at least initially, but they can control what happens in the room. So it's about case acceptance, building the relationship with their assistant. And then once they start seeing that success and building clinical operating procedures within their treatment room, what we're seeing is the owner docs and the rest of the team are scratching their head going like, how the heck is Laura so successful in that room in the same practice with the same patients? And we're not there. So we're starting to see associates sort of after 3 months affecting really positive change for the whole practice, because now people want to know how they're doing it.
That's so cool. I needed this when I think back to when I was a baby dentist. I don't think I even had a plan. No. I think I just finished dental school, in England it's slightly different. I went into you have to do a vocational training year. And then after that, it was just, where's the next job? And there was no plan. Nobody's showing me any of this. How do I create my own way of working in my room? Because being the associate. So that's just an incredible resource.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, our young docs need a ton of help. Let's be honest. At least 70% of the practices they go into, that associateship fails. And sometimes it's just bad timing. Sometimes it's motivation on either side of the relationship. But a lot of it is just starting to learn the things that you don't know, and people taking notice and leading change from the other side. It's kind of fun.
I bet that if you think back to that moment what we were talking about early on in the podcast, and where you were sitting on that rock planning who you were going to be, I bet now you look and feel incredibly fulfilled with what you're doing. Am I right?
I will tell you that as a full-time clinical dentist, when I got past all the other stuff, I felt like life was pretty good. And the very day I founded Ignite was the last day I ever felt any emptiness. So I knew I was in the right spot. I was not at all successful in that spot, but I knew I was in the right spot. And things were going well. Yeah. Crazy how life works.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did that exercise, and thank you for sharing that with us and our listeners. I think that's a great starting point. And I think this 90-day jumpstart sounds like a fantastic, like I could imagine that, you could do this 90-day jumpstart multiple times, maybe even if, you get into a rut, you could maybe get back into 90-day jumpstart and then move along, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many facets to it. We can only cover so much in 90 days, but I mean, imagine that you minimally 3x your investment in 90 days, like how powerful that is to say, what's next? And then to have the confidence to know, like, I can do this. It's not this crazy elusive thing that is meant for somebody other than me.
Yeah. Well, wow. I would just like to say thank you because, I agree with Karen. When I was a baby dentist, if Ignite was around, it would have been a very huge benefit for me. And so I imagine that you are impacting so many lives with sharing your expertise and your knowledge, and being that mentor that you are. How do people find you if they're listening to this and they're like, oh, sign me up?
So a couple ways. Facebook, Instagram. On Instagram, I do have a personal account, Dr. David Rice, but you probably find us at Ignite DDS really easily. On any of the social channels, you can email me at my name, david.rice@ignitedds.com. And if you need help, just reach out. And you don't need to sign up for anything. If you just need help, just reach out. There's a lot of great people out there in dentistry, and we all want to do good things for you.
So kind. Awesome. Well, we'll make sure and include all those links in our show notes, and so people can find them easily. Is there anything else? We covered a lot, but is there anything else that you would love to impart for our listeners today?
Sure. One more thing, I guess. I don't know why I like random didn't think of this, but so I wrote this book called "Is Everyone Smiling But You?" And it's a playbook, and it will literally walk you through from that moment on the rock to how to find the right mentors, to how to build community, to all the stuff that you can do wrong and do right. You can get it on Amazon. So far people like it. It's like best-selling in 5 categories. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I know. Not a dental book. It's just a life success book. So I didn't really bring it up earlier, but if you're looking for a pretty good read that will help you in life, it's pretty good.
All right. Remind us what the title is.
Is Everyone Smiling But You?
Mm-hmm. Great. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Thanks for spending some time with us. This was one of the most encouraging podcasts I think that we've had. So, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with us and our listeners.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, thanks, MITDOOR followers. We will see you on the next episode of the MITDOOR podcast. Okay.
Bye.